back. So
Mm-hmm.
today we're gonna go over Japan 101. So
Mm-hmm.
Japan is, I would say is when you're doing with travel, because we talked about travel in the previous slide, Japan is actually
Mm-hmm.
the country I would say most traveler, it's on top of their list of places to travel.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of reasons behind it. One is it's a smaller country. It's clean, organized. They're really good with promoting their country, I would say, sales and
Mm-hmm.
marketing. And then
Yes, I think
it's
so.
always on the top 10 list of the country that's safest to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's a couple of reasons why is Japan is always on the top of the list when people select which country they want to travel to, Japan is on that
Mm-hmm.
country. And so what I'm going to share with you is my perspective of what is actually the most important key things for somebody to know when
Most
they're
important
actually
factors?
travel. Yes, it's Tina.
No.
Okay. So it's okay. Go over this information because this is
Sorry.
actually no, no, that's okay. These are the two that I think is actually just very important, just basic knowledge to know
Mm-hmm.
about information. So one of the
Okay.
thing is the etiquette because Japan is actually really big on etiquette. So there's a lot of things that you want to respect your culture and
Okay.
their rules. So you have to kind of look
Yes.
at the information.
You don't
Uh,
want to be rude.
no, you don't. I think number one for a person to be traveling to a country to be to have fun, but also respectful is to know each country's etiquette, and
Mm-hmm.
their culture, right? So we're gonna go
Mm-hmm.
over some of that information today. So one is we're gonna go over the map of Japan. So I would say most people when they travel, I think number one spot people always go is Tokyo, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then the later on when they're traveling, like for the first time when I traveled to Japan, Tokyo was the number one. I actually traveled with
Mm-hmm.
a tour group. And then the next one I traveled to is the purple one is the Osaka. So I went
Mm-hmm.
to Osaka, Kyoto, and Nara. That's the three. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also went to Hokkaido. That
Mm-hmm.
was right before COVID. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see it's actually it's a really long country. So we have different places, different time, it's different beauty. So it's kind of important to know like the map where everything is located because the reason why I picked this is also it's color coded. The reason why it's color coded is previously we talked about Japan when you're trying to budget for travel, the biggest ticket item is usually flight, hotel, and transportation, right? So that's the big thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
one way to really save money on transportation is the JR pass, right? A lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
especially Asia, they are all about JR pass. So
Yes.
there was a news recently just come out is basically they're saying that as of July 1st, the JR pass is going to go up in price 50%. Okay.
Yes.
So let's say you're traveling and you're trying to go around the whole Japan, like around the islands and everything. You're actually
Mm-hmm.
you have actually had to get 4 or 5 JR pass or, train ticket. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to do that and the price is going to go up by 50%, that's a huge increase of how much you're gonna have
Yes.
to spend. So that's
Yes.
the reason why it's important to kind of stay on top of it, watch the news, 小红书 and Facebook, whatever it is. You need to make sure you get that information because it actually can save you a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go. That's the reason I included the slide so visually you can see where you're going to be going and which color is it or segment of Japan you're going to go to. And what I usually recommend is try to stay within that area. So let's say if you're trying to save money, location, location, location. And if you're gonna say, oh, I'm gonna go to the Osaka area, then you stay within that purple segment, right? Because you can actually travel all you can travel with the
Mm-hmm.
JR pass for the purple one. But if you try to
Yes.
go, oh, I'm gonna go to the yellow and the green and the green and then also the purple, then you're hitting like four. JR,
Yes,
and then so your
because
expense then
in
go up.
different section they use
Yeah.
different JR prices.
Yeah, so that's kind of the reason why. So moving on. So I actually took Japanese for like about 4 years plus, when I was in high school and also 2 years in college. So I would say with anything, you have to be polite more than anything. So, um, and a couple of days ago, I was actually chatting with parents, and basically saying is it possible for like one person, to know multiple language? And how when you travel to a new country, how can you make friends quickly?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a couple things. One is you have to be respect the country's culture, the etiquette. So definitely you had to do some research before you go, right? Number
Mm-hmm.
two is you want to maybe learn some basic basics, you know, like thank you, how are you doing, that kind of thing, and just have a smile, be respectful. Because sometimes when you can say those things, you might not know their language 100%, but they will respect you so much more because they know that you actually take the time to learn just a couple things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why it's really important. So I'm going to go over a couple things. So konnichiwa. So that's hello, konnichiwa. And then
Mm-hmm.
the other one that you hear pretty often is arigato gozaimasu. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you because with anything, there's a different levels when you talk about language, right? So there is this the slang, just like peer between your peers, you talk this way, and then or when you talk to your boss or your parents, you have to be extra polite, right? So the reason
Mm-hmm.
why I point this out is, arigato is basically it's a slang,
Mm-hmm.
but you hear this all the time, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
when you listen to other
Arigato.
people talk, they just say arigato. But arigato is actually when you say something with your peer. When you're trying to be more
Yes,
polite, you have to
you
add
have to
gozaimasu.
add. Yeah, you have to add that.
Yes, so that's why I'm gonna highlight this. You need to know this. You need to know this information.
Yeah, or else they'll feel like, do I know you?
Yeah, it's impolite, so you're just bad. And then the other thing is sumimasen. So it's kind of like when you're walking down the street, you actually bump into somebody and you're kind of say, excuse me. So you say sumimasen, excuse me, So it's like a very polite thing to say. Um, the other thing is kudasai. So
Mm-hmm.
usually you will say whatever you want. Let's say you want, uh, let's say Mizu, sushi o kudasai. It's like adding
Mm-hmm.
the item and you say
Mm-hmm.
kudasai. It's basically
Good
please.
answer. Mm-hmm.
So you have to know this, kudasai, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you say gozaimasu. That's basically the polite version. Kudasai is also the polite version. The other thing is doko desu ka. So when you're traveling, you'll use to get this very often because you might get lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you might want to say, "Hey, bus station wa doko desu ka?" Um, or Shinkansen eki wa doko desu ka? So that's what you're gonna plug in, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is right before you're eating, you'll say itadakimasu, and you'll just kind of hold your hand together,
Mm-hmm.
itadakimasu. So that's the expression of gratitude you're gonna be eating like before your meal. So I would say this is basically the top six I kind of come up with. Mine. There's more, but it's something you want to start practicing.
Mm-hmm.
Konnichiwa, arigatou gozaimasu, sumimasen, na kudasai, doko desu ka? And then the other thing
Mm-hmm.
is before you eat is itadakimasu. So basically,
Itadakimasu.
yes, itadakimasu. Itadakimasu. So these are like the basic one, and there is more, of course. Once you learn that, you can move on to the next thing. Okay. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I want to show you the writing system.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yeah. So basically, there's three big
Yeah,
writing
I'm
systems.
sure the only thing I can read is kanji.
Yes, and this is the reason why I brought this up. So I think we went over before in one of the lessons um so for my high school, I went to Korean high school. So the Korean high school is the requirement. There was a couple of requirements. Number one requirement is you have to learn a second language. It's a required thing. So yeah. So now you actually have a couple options, right? So I can technically say I want to learn Chinese, but to me it's like that's cheating, because I know Chinese. I was born in Taiwan. I grew up in Taiwan. I was there like in 6th grade and we moved here. So to me, it's if I choose Chinese Mandarin, it's cheating. I know I can probably teach Chinese, So that's why I kind of say I don't want to use that as an option. The next one is I actually tried to take Spanish. That actually only Espanol. That only lasts for, I would say, 2 months or 3 months. Okay. Because what I've discovered is when you learn a language, you have to be passionate about that. If you're not passionate about that and you're just learning it just to learn it, you will find you're not motivated to learn it. So the reason why I said that is, there's tests that you have to take, right? So one of the tests that they on the question is basically when you are eating at a restaurant, after you're done, you're calling the waiter and you have to pay the bills, right? So the test is basically, how do you say pay the bills in Spanish to the waiter? I wrote the answer, and then the teacher started laughing. Because basically what I wrote is, I ate the bill. I ate the bill. So after that test, I'm like, okay, it's really not for me. That's not something I'm not passionate about. So if I keep on doing it, it's not really going to mean anything to me. So I look at what am I passionate about, or something that's interests me. I think it's Japanese. So I picked Japanese. Japanese is very interesting because they actually have 3 writing systems. Okay.
Yes.
So the reason why I'm going to show you this is, so let's say if you read the information in Japan, the slide on the very top, this one is actually hiragana. So that's why it's on the top.
Like the most common one.
Yes. So you actually have to memorize I will kaki kukeko.
Yes, I once remember that, and now they just be like
refresher, right? So you have to memorize this. But the nice thing is it's actually not that bad because like English have a lot of letters and Chinese have so many like
once you look at the katakana, you will think that hiragana is
it's
actually
easy, right? But this is the thing. Why is katakana important?
Because it's like translating the foreign
English
language into Japanese.
But I'm gonna tell you the other thing. You know why when you talk to Japanese people, they're speaking English, but you don't understand what they're saying?
Because they're just using katakana.
Exactly. They take an English word and they switch it into katakana. So yes, exactly. So that's the reason why they don't connect. It's really hard. So to me, it's like katakana is actually really difficult. There's a lot of memorization. I remember I make so much flashcards. But nowadays you don't really need it because you have Google Translate. So technically you can just translate it. So the biggest advantage of you with the writing system for Japan is actually kanji, which is it's Chinese, right? So the thing is, why your competitive advantage of you already know Chinese is the fact that kanji in Japan is actually considered a very high level language. So meaning that only the rich or the elderly, they know kanji. It's a lost art. The younger generation, they actually don't know kanji. So if you show them all the kanjis, they might not even understand it. But as for you, as already know Mandarin, know Chinese, you already know what it means, right? So that's your competitive advantage because out of the 3 systems, you already know one. And that's the one that actually people respect you the most. You already know that one. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's the reason why. So that's what I was actually trying to show you.
Mhm.